Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let me just get everything working. Hello, it is time for another live stream. Now, tonight I'm going to endeavour to not get myself into any more trouble than I probably already have in the last few weeks. Tonight, we are going to be talking about digital FPV, but specifically why people seem to think, or sort of why FPV digital costs what it does, and why it's never going to be as cheap as analog in many situations. We're going to talk about the CaddX Goggle X that now comes with the new Heatsink, this version here. I've just finished all of my thermal testing. I'm a bit behind on that video, but I want to talk about the issues that people are having because people are reporting problems with low signals since fitting the heatsink, and we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a new filament dryer from Creality that they've sent me that I can't use because they sent me the one with the wrong voltage, but we'll have a quick look at it anyway, and we'll talk about anything else that comes up as well. Now, I hope everyone is safe and well. I am in a huge amount of pain. I haven't done much to do with drones the last week for a number of reasons. This weekend, whilst the weather has been actually horrible on Saturday and very nice today here in the UK, I couldn't fly because I was ripping out my bathroom. Or let me rephrase that. I ripped out the bathroom yesterday. Today, I was putting it back in, or the beginnings of it back in. Oh, the fun. Oh, the joys of having no toilet for 6 hours, no bath. Currently, the bath isn't working. It will tomorrow. And really, I'm in a complete state of chaos. Now, I have been putting off doing this bathroom for about 3 years. I hate doing bathrooms. I hate doing bathrooms. There's no good or easy way to do a bathroom, and I only have one in my house, regardless of what everyone thinks. I don't live in a mansion. I don't even have 2 toilets in my house. I only have one. So when you rip the only toilet you have out, you really need to get it working again. And I'll be honest, I will barely be able to walk tomorrow, I suspect. I can feel my back is now gone now. But no, today we're back in the situation where the toilet's in and working. The bath is plumbed. I just need to stick it and bracket it up. But next weekend, it's going to be rip the shower out, which I'm not looking forward to. But anyways, enough of that. So, back to the drone talk. Now, I hope you're all safe and well. It's been an interesting week. You may have seen, and I just want to address it, I did take the last 2 live streams down and then I put them back up. And the reason I did that was there was a couple of little tweaks that I made. And look, there's nothing that I said in last week's live stream that was wrong. However, I'll be honest, it's never good telling people to off. And I just felt I probably went a bit too far. And look, I'm going to say this. There are times on live streams where you get the raw, unfiltered me. And yes, sometimes I can be a bit extreme, and sometimes I'll say things that I don't regret, but I would usually have maybe tempered a little bit. And nothing I said last week I feel was wrong, but I do think that it's at times it's not always a good idea to say what you think. That's what I will say. So, now, as I've said, the first subject I want to talk about tonight, and we'll just let everyone roll in first of all, is digital FPV and the price. I got too many times. Yeah, and let me be clear, no one asked me to. It's one of those things after last week's stream, I spent some time thinking about it and just thought, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I'm not gonna, hello, Gulavani. I'm not gonna comment on anyone else's streams. I think just for reasons that I've had a bit of enough of, look, I'm always going to comment on things around FPV. I'm always going to talk about things on FPV. A bit harsh. I was not harsh in any relation to a certain project. The bit I removed was with regards to telling people if they don't like what I do and that is how I feel, but it's not always the way I want to say it. My feelings are the same. It's really simple. You don't like what I do, don't watch it and don't complain at me. But I just think it's not a good look at times. Fly off. Absolutely fly off. You know, look, I apologize for nothing. Nothing in it I changed other than just removing that little part. Yeah, it's just sometimes it is always worth sometimes tempering yourself, but no. But yeah, with regards to DJ, I think it's interesting because there's a lot of people that seem to think digital FPV is a rip-off. And this is partly because of just how much open source product there is in FPV. And with that, if we talk about two projects, and I'm not talking about these in a negative way, Express LRS and Betaflight, two of the most successful FPV open source projects, without a doubt, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, ArduPilot isn't just FPV. ArduPilot is overall. However, you've got to take into account that if we look at these two, you have a situation where all of the hardware vendors, so the likes of flight controller manufacturers, all of the, Beta FPV, SpeedyBee, Matexis, all of these companies, Diatone, they're all making flight controllers with literally no software cost at all. Now, hardware is actually very easy once you're used to doing it. So laying out a flight controller for these companies now is child's play. They will have IP blocks in place where they just drop everything in, move it around, and deliver another flight controller. Hardware is really cheap. It's cheap to do. You can mass manufacture it. The real cost in anything like this is software. And the interesting thing is, when you look at FPV, we've got a number of amazing open source projects, but what they've done is they've taken away the entire need and cost for software development, devs, and the huge amount of sort of infrastructure that you need around that. Now, if you're a little company that only has a small bit of software, it's not a problem. But you imagine paying for Betaflight. If you just imagine today paying a dev team to do Betaflight, it would probably be probably $1 million a year to put all that on the payroll. To put those guys on the payroll, you're probably talking $1 million a year. Same with the Express LRS team. By the time you add in the costs, it is enormous cost. Now, in digital FPV, things are different because we have two very different situations. Because number one, with flight controllers and Express LRS, everything is based on off-the-shelf hardware. Okay, so you've got STM32 SoCs, you've got your barometers, you've got your sensors, you've got all of your I/O. All of that is nicely packaged up. You just deliver it on a circuit and push it out the door. Digital FPV is different, though, because there is one fundamental massive difference, and that is the chipset driving it. There is no coincidence today that the biggest 3 digital FPV systems are all based off custom silicon, custom ASICs. So HDZero, Carl had to make his own ASICs. DJI have their own ASIC. Avata HD is using an off-the-shelf ASIC from Artisan, which is very similar to the DJI one. Similar technology. But none of these are off the shelf because Artisan are making that for a specific purpose. DJI are making theirs for a specific purpose, and HDZero are making theirs. Now, that isn't to say there can't be open source digital FPV. We have OpenHD, who have their new board that is around the corner, which is very exciting. And this is a project that has been going on. And there's talk from the other project that they're going to have hardware as well, although they have no real history to go by on how good it's going to be. Neither really does OpenHD. So we should say that to be fair. So you have open source methods trying, but they're all based off cheap, off-the-shelf hardware designed for other uses, as is Express ELRS, as is flight controllers. And this is why digital FPV costs so much money, because the cost just to spin up one of these ASICs, okay? So people don't get it, and we're not going to talk about, we're not talking about NVIDIA and Intel and AMD here. We are talking about the small companies. So a mask that is used in the lithography step costs probably, for Carl, in HDZero, $100,000 to $200,000 for the mask, if not a bit more. Then there's the cost of the wafers. Then there's the cost of the tape out. Now, on average, the wafer cost and tape out is about $3,000 per wafer. Depending, that's the wafer costs, about $3,000 per wafer. And then the tape out cost is on top of that. Depending on the volume, you are talking about $1 to $3 million for your first tape out. So you're talking between, say, 1 and 200,000 plus for the very basic mask. And remember, the mask is how the chip is made. Think of it as a stencil. The real easy way to think of a mask is as a stencil. And once you've done it, if there's an error on it, it's stuffed. You've got to start again. Now, you can pay upwards of 1 or 2 million for a mask, if not more. But the cheapest masks, 100,000 to 300,000, something like that. For the first tape out, you're probably talking about $1 million. So, someone's just said in the chat there, if Carl said about $1 billion. It is about $1 million. And someone's just said their wafer prices are on the rise. They are about 3,000, depending on what size, 300mm wafers, and they are going up and up and up. And it's also going to depend on the node you're using and where you're at. But you're talking like $1 million just to get out the door. Okay? So you've then got to ask yourself, what does it cost? And I actually did a real interesting breakdown of this on my Discord about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about HDZero specifically, and I actually broke down what the cost would be of making the first chips. And I worked out for the first ones, say for the first, let me just find it on here, because it was a very interesting analysis once I broke it down. It was under the HDZero chat. I'm sure it was under HDZero. Let me just find it. Oh, no, it might not have been under HDZero. It might have been under Avata HD, actually. We were talking about it on my Discord. Can't seem to find it. I worked out it was around the $30 to $35 a chip for your initial production run, and then you may be able to get it down to like $17, $18 an IC on scale. Now, when you're working all of this stuff out, when you're looking at a digital VTX, right, it's not as simple as just the one chip either. Because let's say you can get the chip for $20. You've then got the SRAM, which you need for it as well, because digital always needs an SRAM chip on HDZero, Avata HD and DJI. You've then got the cost of the system management, because the whole back and the whole power around making the IC work. Like, if you think of analog, right, you'll have a single chipset from Richwave or one of the others that probably wants 3.3 volts or 5 volts, and that's about it. In digital FPV, you've got normally 0.8 volts, 0.9 volts, 1.1 volts, 1.3 volts, 3.3 volts, 5 volts. You need all of these different voltages, and you have that on all of these digital VTXs. When we go on to my FPV wiki, if I head over to there a minute, and if I get onto there, if we just take a look at, I don't know, let's have a look at Avata HD VTX. It's nice and easy to see on the avatars. So on these, right, really nice and easy to see. So we have on the backside, you've got your main input regulator here. So you've got your main pads, and this will be taking it down to probably 5 volt off the top of my head. This one, it might be 3.3, but that takes it down to 5 volt. You've then got on the other side of this board. So if we go back and look at the top of this board, this system management IC, this is the one that fails like all of the time. The Dialog, the DA9062. This has 4 voltage outputs, so you've got there, and there, and that supplies the voltage for the main SoC, but also supplies the voltage for the SRAM that's on the back of the board here as well as the main RF multiplex IC. So you've got all of these different voltages, all of this different circuitry, and all of this costs money. So the reality is this. Is digital FPV more expensive? Yes. However, for the increased complexity, frankly, it is a bargain that the likes of the O3 Air unit costs as little as it does. Now, I'm not saying it's cheap, but people should not sit here and think the margins on an O3 VTX are huge. They are really not. But also take into account this. Even if the hardware BOM, which is bill of materials, was $30 on that $220 Air unit, don't forget that DJI is paying for all of the software development in-house themselves to make it work. Now, where DJI save is on scale, because DJI is doing that same thing across all of their drones. And actually, we've seen DJI copy and paste their RF system across all of their quads and drones. Well, that's what we've seen. And that's how it is. But people need to understand, don't mix up cheap open source projects like Express ELRS, like Betaflight, and think that's easy to do in every market, because it simply isn't. There are certain elements that are key to making it happen. Number one, cheap, readily available, off-the-shelf hardware is the number one key to most successful open source projects. And that hardware needs to be able to do what you need it to do. I'm not just saying there is, for every type of thing you want to do, cheap, off-the-shelf hardware, because in digital FPV, there is nothing out there cheap and off the shelf that does what DJI do. There really isn't. What Avata HD does, what HDZero does. If there was a way that Carl didn't have to spend $1 million on making his own chipset, I can promise you he would do it. Also, don't forget the FPV Blue project, which again was trying to make a digital FPV system by laying his own ASIC. Again, he would have done it if he could have. He would have done off the shelf. So, is digital FPV expensive? Yes, absolutely. It is a premium product. That is the right term to use for digital FPV. No one needs digital FPV. I like having digital FPV. No one needs it. It is a premium product with a premium feature set that gives a premium level of image quality and features. That is what digital is. There is no magical unicorn out there. And that isn't to say in 10 years' time there might not be something that could get close. But just imagine where DJI are going to be with their own silicon in 10 years' time. And here's actually the really interesting thing. And I discussed this on my wiki, and I'm going to mention it again because I have a very good thing. I want to share this on my thing. Digital FPV history. I wrote this in the last couple of weeks. And this goes over the whole history, actually, of DJI Lightbridge and their wireless systems. And it talks about Avata HD. And I need to finish it off and start talking about HDZero. But what is interesting is DJI started with off-the-shelf hardware and had to move to closed source hardware. They had to because they couldn't do what they wanted to do without it. And that's the interesting thing. So if you haven't seen this article, it's worth a look. It goes into depth on DJI systems. You know, they were using the off-the-shelf chipsets here in the old days. There it is, the lead core 1860C. I just seen some comments. There's Linux. Linux, yeah. But again, Linux is based on off-the-shelf hardware. AVI said Express LRS didn't really get full traction until there happened to be 2.4 gigs LoRa trips. Yeah, again, the hardware made it possible. Open source is non-proprietary. Just pay off our artisan. Have there been any successful open source project in any category ever? No, I think FPV is full of some really successful open source projects. Some amazingly successful ones. But it doesn't mean there's always going to be the perfect solution. Hardware is hard until it's readily available and off the shelf. You know, if you think about it, making a flight controller is really easy. Today you get an STM32, you can get copy and paste open source designs, and you can lay it on a board and it's there. The software costs a lot of money. So, look, my point always was with this, and I don't want this one to go on too long, is, look, what we have today is incredible for the price. Someone just said up there, and he just actually, GS FPV just said, I just got the Walksnail VRX with the Moonlight, and it's such an undervalued setup, perfect for anything from quads to planes to cars. 100%, and he got it for about £300 all in. That is a good deal. And it is worth remembering that the VRX modules on HDZero and Avata HD give a real low barrier to entry. Let's open source the 3D files to make the Red Bull drone copy project. Is there an open source baseband? Not as far as I'm aware. There probably is one, but and you have to take into account, look, the real core to digital FPV is the the basebands. So DJI and Artisan use LTE-based basebands. It's not LTE, but it's LTE-based. But all of that is a copy and paste from the mobile phone industry, where the likes of Qualcomm have completely swallowed up all of the patents and dominated it for the last 20 years. And they just own everything. It's so much so, Apple have been in a fight with them. There's a huge amount around that. What's actually really cool about what we have today, and this is what I'm going to finish on, because many of you may not know this, and I do talk about this in this, right? What is actually cool about this is we have this digital revolution today largely because of China's attempts to make their own homegrown smartphone IC that is an equivalent to the likes of Qualcomm and the Apple A series. The original chipset that DJI was using, right, in OcuSync. So in OcuSync 1, this chipset here, the lead core chipset, this was designed for tablets and smartphones in China, and it was designed to be their homegrown attempt at delivering a compelling equivalent to the likes of Qualcomm and Apple. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't quick. It wasn't good enough. But what is interesting, and I do talk about this in the end, does he always talk like this? Is he slow, or his audience is? How about leave the channel? How about bye-bye? So there's the lead core chipset there. But this still happens today. There is an ongoing dream in China for them to have their own proper smartphone chipset, and they've just released the new Huawei Crin 9000S, it's called, and it's in the Mate 60, and it's designed by HiSilicon. HiSilicon is a subsidiary of Huawei. And interestingly, we've seen other chipsets from HiSilicon used by DJI before. So there is something very interesting with regards to the Chinese attempt at making their own equivalent to Qualcomm. But it's interesting. It is interesting. Now, if you're interested in seeing that, the link to that is on fpvwiki.co.uk. That is the website I set up. Haven't done anything on there this week. I'm a bit behind on getting it caught up. But yes. So, digital FPV. Is it a rip-off? No. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it about to get more expensive with DJI's probably newest offering coming? Probably. I don't know what the cost of these new goggles is going to be, but you're not going to get those cameras for free that they're putting in the front. That's for sure. I'm just opening my bar of chocolate, so if you're hearing a noise. So, the DJI Avata 2. Now, I'm going to say this. I am astonished that the images have not leaked yet. I'm going to say something controversial. I have images of the Avata 2. I just can't share them. I'm not going to say where they've come from. I have images of the Avata 2. I just can't share them because they're not my images. I am astonished we have not seen leaks of the new Avata 2 yet. I just am absolutely astonished that it hasn't landed. But anyways, now, there is a rumour, you and me both, I think that almost every creator has the same set of images, but none of us are going to publish them because we were asked not to. Now, I'm going to be honest. I can't say I have a set that come before those ones. I actually have two sets of images. I've had a set for quite a long time. Can't tell you where they came from either. But it is really funny that There are loads of us sitting here with images of a drone, yet no one's leaked it. No one, I cannot believe it. It is mental that it hasn't got out yet. Look, don't get too excited. Guys, I promise you, look, the new goggles look like the old goggles, but with 2 cameras on the front. I'll tell you that now. There is a band along the top. The head strap goes to a different place. And the battery is integrated. Cross between Avata and Goggles 2. Cross between Goggles 2 and Integra. I couldn't even say the word. Don't think FPV users are going to be happy. If you didn't like the Integras, you're probably not going to like these new goggles. That's the truth. As for the Avata 2, it's a bit different, but it looks like an Avata. Nothing shocking. Look, there's nothing magical here. I will drill an eye hole in my goggles too. Literally, if you drill goggle holes in your goggles, it will be very similar. Now, we don't know how the pass-through works. We don't know what it's like. We don't know anything yet. No, look, it's early days. There are rumours that it has been delayed. I say that twice, but I've not had anything concrete. Don't even 100% think that these are going to be for FPV. We don't even know, really, does it even work with 03 yet? There's no 04, but we don't even know if it works with 03. Hi, Darkman. These goggles are for a new drone, which is called the Avata 2. Delayed from what? Well, the solid info was March to April. But the delay now is potentially September. I wouldn't expect VR. Look, we all believe the cameras are going to be passed through. But look, it'll come out. Don't get too excited, though. Although you're going to need new batteries. The batteries won't fit. The belief is the camera is the same as the Action 4. The belief is the camera is the Action 4. So dual cameras on the front of the goggles, which I spoke about. Look, we've known a lot about this. I just can't believe Karen watching cameras on the front. I like the term for that. I can't believe they just hasn't leaked. Come on, Jake. Jake, go on. Go on, Jake. Go on. Post it on Twitter. Go on, Jake. You know you want to. You know you want to. Image pass-through, we believe, so to allow you to have some form of view around yourself. Yeah, not for FPV bad. And look, I'm going to be clear. The only reason I'm talking about this is because I had info before these images anyway. I had other stuff. You first. I just cannot believe it's not out. Honestly, it's a joke. But yeah, don't get to it. Look, it's a new Avata. I can tell you, I've seen no specs. It'll have a better camera. It's believed to be the same as the Action 4. It's going to have better battery life. If I was a betting man, it's probably closer to 20 minutes. They'd have improved some stuff. And the goggles have got this image pass through. Look, just look at every DJI's release. Yeah, look, the likelihood is these new goggles will replace the current pair based on all the sales. But we don't know for sure yet. We don't know for sure. Send me some pics and I'll leak them. It's just mad. It really is. Thank you, Free Range. That's incredible. Thank you for the 20 the $20 super chat. Sorry, not the $20, $10 super chat. I should mention here, because we've had a few come in, actually. So, Mike Bundy donated. I'm going to start with Mike, because Mike is an amazing supporter of this channel. If you don't know who Mike Bundy is, he's an incredible bloke. He actually supplied me a number of the images for FPV Wiki, and he's credited on there as well. For those who don't know, Mike provided a number of the images for the goggles and the Goggles X. He's an amazing guy for those who don't know him. But some of the internal images in here are Mike's as well. He provided the lens ones and stuff like that. He's a huge supporter of the channel, and he's donated $19.99 and $1.99. Thank you, Mike. You are amazing. And then Free Range Chicken is donated $9.99. Thank you very much. Can we expect images to leak of the next F1? I'm not going there, Robin. I'm not going there. I'm going to finish eating that chocolate. That's all I'm going to eat. So, we'll have the Avata 2 soon. Don't lose too much sleep over there. The chances are the goggles will replace all the other ones just based on the discounts. Anyway. Also, I expect it to be a bit dearer. The prices of their drones are going up. My phone costs more than my back 10 times more. Yeah, I do spend a lot of money on my phones. I wonder will the Avata 2 be sub 250? I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting it to be that small. It actually looks like it might be a little bit wider. The ducts look a little bit bigger. I hope DJI managed to quieten the bloody thing down. It was way too noisy. Way too noisy. Thomas, we haven't come on to the heatsink yet. The Avata, it looks... based on camera sizes, the ducts are a bit wider. Is there a world where DJI goes entirely prosumer and up? Look, DJI sell a lot of Mavics, Mavic Minis. I think people would... I don't think people fully comprehend just how big DJI are. In that small drone space. They sell millions of the things. Millions of the things. Should I return the goggles too for the price? Oh, no, the new ones are going to be expensive. Don't expect the new ones to come in anywhere near what you're getting the discounted goggles for today. Goggles 2 V2. I don't know what they're called. That is something I don't know. What percentage of Mavic Minis are stuck in trees? I would expect the new goggles to be $700-800. That's for sure. Who's the closest competitor in terms of DJ range and frequency and power? No one. There isn't. Look, out and out RF link-wise, DJI is 4 years ahead of everyone, even Avatar HD, from how it performs. That doesn't mean Avatar HD isn't good enough, but Avatar HD sits... You know, look, DJI is artificially limited to 20 kilometers, 23 kilometers on 03. That's an artificial limit. That's not a system limit. The system will go way beyond that. You can actually, pardon me, do 30 kilometers on a Vista on 03 firmware. So, DJI's overall link is still 3 to 4 years ahead of everyone else. But that doesn't mean Avatar isn't good enough to be used, or HDZero, or the others. It's what you want, you know. Avatar, I think this leads us on Vista on 03 firmware. Yeah, when you use them with the goggles too, because remember, remember, when you use the Vista with the goggles too, you're also moving them on to basically 03 firmware, is what you're basically doing. It's like a cross mode. I call it 03 firmware. It's not 03 firmware, but it's when you use them with the goggles 2, you're moving goggles 2 firmware, but you're moving them. you're moving them into sort of like the O3 behavior. So, and this leads us nicely on to the Avata HD system. And we'll talk about the Goggles X in a minute. And I think for me, what the real disappointing thing with Avata is, whilst the development of hardware has marched on at a ridiculous rate, the link has stagnated. It still has all of the same problems it had a year ago when I said it needed work. CaddX did make an improvement where they took a lot of Luma out of the video. And everything's still got a more reddish tinge. Avata has reached, they've not ever fixed the Avata link fully. Does that mean you can't use it? No. But there are so many things that CaddX have still not done. There's still no zoom out option on any of their goggles. Since day one, they have not managed to make a zoom out option on the goggles. Focus mode basically still doesn't work, and the RF link is still pretty horrible overall. It's good enough, but it isn't up there with O3 at all. And for me, the real disappointment is CaddX have put all of their effort into smashing out VTXs, no OSD element configurator, no, agreed. There's lots of little things they could have done so much more on. And it's just a shame. It's just a shame. Still interested in Fat Shark and not DJI. Can we expect HDO3? I have no idea. They are not a company that talks to me. All the Freestyle Pros have been running O3 air unit with V2 goggles hacked. Yeah, it's a great combination. It's a great combination. Is the DJI Transmission O3 Pro different to the standard O3? I saw it in Make Art Now video, and he was 5 blocks behind a building, and the video was perfect. I assume it's better but higher latency. Yes, basically. So, just so you understand, O3 Pro uses the same chipset that we use today in the O3 air unit. The P1 still exists in the O3. It's still there. There's no change. It's a more redundant link. There are differences, don't get me wrong, but it isn't completely different. So, if we have a quick look here, have I got the internal images on this? DJI. So if we go down to the DJI FCC IDs of stuff. Oh, wow. What are DJI up to? Okay, that's very interesting. DJI published a bunch of stuff at the start of the month under their Osmo technology group. Let me just find it. So I have had so if we have a look at this on the FCC ID website, under here we should somewhere, all being well, have internal images. Internal photos for TX2. Here we go. So if we have a look here under the FCC ID section. So this is inside the RC Pro. Let me pull down the PDF. It's always better to have the full PDF and then we can zoom in. So this is the transmitter. Inside, you can see there. Look. That's how small the air unit is in that transmitter. Look at this. That's the transmitter, and that's the air unit down there. It's a large housing for no good reason with a bunch of I/O. But if we scroll down, You can then see there's the RF unit, 4 antennas, the module, and there you go. If you look inside, recognize ye old P1. It is literally an O3 air unit. If we go to DJI, actually, it's closer to a Vista, if I'm honest. But if we go down here, so if we look in the original DJI Air unit, because this is the nice and easy one to see. So you've got the P1, you've got the RAM chip, you've then got the IE1000, and then the 2 antenna lanes. This has the P1, the same chipset. You've got 2 SD RAM chips in this one, and then the same IE1000. And then on the other side of the board, you've got 2 RAM and a ROM chip, and then you've got the 4 antennas. It literally is a DJI FPV air unit. It's exactly the same. It's not even an O3 air unit. And that has HDMI input. HDO3 is HDO2. I have them and they are great. Scrolling down the chart. Why can't Americans just make something about the DJI? Surely they have better, more cutting-edge technology. No chance. America and the UK are ahead in some very specific areas. When it comes to general technology, we are so far behind. I'm sorry, but we are. And that stands for the UK and the US. We have certain industries and elements where we are ahead, but not across the board, especially not in this particular area. Also, did I see Crossfire failing at short range in the F4? Yes. There may have been some for... I wouldn't be shocked if they had some telemetry radios on those frequencies. The one thing to remember is there is a huge amount of telemetry data on the F1 cars going back, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's on the license-free bands. Just catching down on the chat. Pro pilots working for Red Bull F1 had wrong settings. Chances are it was just band noise. There will be a huge amount of data coming out of that car, let alone anything else. No wonder some of the cine lifter guys strap a second O3 cameras opposite to paying for DJI transmission. Yes. Catching down. Just did the heatsink upgrade on my Goggles X. We'll talk about that now in a second. Ian, any idea when I go fail-safe when my quad lands? Sounds like, Catfather, you've got a bit of a loose connector there is what I would say, or something is shorting on bounce. Are there any more updates or leaks for the new DJI drone? Really would like an Avata 2. A great drone, especially for indoor FPV client work. It just needs a better camera. The Avata 2 needs to be a better camera and less noise. The current Avata is way too noisy. I hope DJI tame it down. But no, other than we don't have much more than I've already said. Jake said, you're right about the tech in this space. He's been testing the Skydio X2. Interesting drone. Very nice. And they've made massive improvements on the control link and video feed. They still don't match DJI. DJI are years ahead, and I just mean out of control ahead. What you've got to take into account is this, right? DJI have millions of flight hours on their drones. O3, DJI didn't make... Sorry, Skydio X10. DJI didn't make FPV easy and good out of nowhere. They have thousands and thousands of flights a day happening on ready-to-fly drones. And all of that data, all of that diagnostic info, all of that goes back to them, and then they've tweaked the link for FPV. They are they have more data than anyone else does just from diagnostic logs that people choose to share. I'm not even saying they're stealing the data. The logs that people choose to share on a daily basis. I somehow doubt ExpressLRS would have failed. Oh, yeah, it would have done. Look, don't... Crossfire... So, on this F1 thing, before we move on, the chances are the car was probably kicking out a load of data, or the ground stations were, because F1 cars have huge amounts of telemetry. Crossfire is one of the most stable RF RC control links there is. I trust Crossfire as much as I trust anything else. I have fail-safe to ExpressLRS in silly situations as of Crossfire. Crossfire is a very, very good link. If Crossfire fail-safe, the chances are it's environmental. I'm not saying I use it much anymore, because I don't. And I'll be honest, I don't really use 900 ExpressLRS generally. 2.4. I want a combined 900 and 2.4 gig ExpressLRS radio, just because I can run aircraft on both and not have to worry about a module. Would I love my Boxer with ExpressLRS built in and Crossfire in the back is also a phenomenal combination. Crossfire is really good. I tend to choose Crossfire for my wings, if I'm honest. Crossfire is generally very, very good. But that doesn't mean I don't use ExpressLRS. Just catching down on the chat a second. Mike Bunday, 199 national state money. Thank you, my friend. Almost embarrassed me, which is why... Almost embarrassed me, which is why it's dead to me the second I come back from the event. For a newbie who doesn't have goggles, should I get discounted DJI? How much money do you have? Okay, because people can say, should I get the discount goggles or wait for the DJI new ones? So, assume the DJI new ones are going to be $700 plus, and then make your decision. I don't see, other than there being potential pass-through, there being any major benefits on the new goggles for FPV users. How happy are you about having the Integra battery style? If you can't, get the goggles too. 900 2.4 combined would be amazing. Hello, Madge FPV. Crossfire is much more susceptible to bad antenna placement. Potentially, yes. Defending Squawk. Crossfire wrecked my quad at a drift event in the UK. 3 fail-safes back to back. Look, I think it's... And TBS refused to explain why. Like, I think it's hard for any manufacturer to give you an answer when your quad's another part of the world. I don't think they can give an answer. It's no easy way to do it. There's too much involved. Overall, I think all of the RC links are good. And look, here's another one. Coast is another fantastic link. I don't use it, but again, it's another fantastic one. I love ExpressLRS. I love ExpressLRS because there's lots of cheap hardware and it works really, really well. And I'm not beholden to TBS's supply issues. I like TBS. I like their products. They have annoyed me over the years. The Mambo is a nice radio, but they never finished it. And the death of TBS for me was the day the Boxer was born. And for me... It just changed everything. Now, I'm not saying TBS is the best company in the world. They're certainly not. You know, I think TBS could do better sometimes on how they treat their customers, but that's down to them. Do you know what I mean? Look, at the end of the day, TBS are going to do what TBS do. I'm a shill for open source ExpressLRS. Right. we're going to talk about these Avatar goggles and the issues that people are having. But before we do that, I just want to be clear. Thank you to everyone who's donated on the Super Chats. If you don't know, I do have a Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the channel, I never have a link to this in place, but I am going to get it up. I can't even find my own Patreon. There we go. It's good when this is how prepared you get on this stream, right? This stream, you don't see things this prepared on this stream. So, if you don't know, we do have a Patreon. It is available here for those who want to support the channel. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who does support the channel. We also have a Discord as well that you should consider checking out. There is a link to that in the description. So, the Goggles X. These. Let's go wide. Now, since the release of the version 2s, which these are, I'm going to call them version 2s because that is sort of what they are. Now, I'm in the process of finishing my sort of review of the version 2s with regards to what's changed. What has become apparent, though, is a lot of people have been posting that they're having signal issues with the version 2s with the new heatsink. Now, this is either people getting the brand new goggle or people modifying their goggle with the heatsink. Now, it isn't 100% clear, but if I pop to Facebook a minute, because the posts have been on predominantly Facebook, I haven't actually had anyone on my Discord with this issue, actually, which is interesting. But the belief right now is the majority of the issues are people getting lower than normal signal bars, so they're not getting the full greens, they're getting sort of ambers across the board. And the belief at this moment in time, and this is a great link to the post here, is it's to do with the Wi-Fi antenna placement. So if you look on this one here, this has the new smaller heatsink because there are two different sizes. And you've got the Wi-Fi board here, okay? And before, the cable used to come out this side here. However, they're now recommending you route the cable down here. This, though, means that it is going to be routed down past this IE1000 transceiver, past the PA and the amplifiers around here. Now, I don't like this routing at all. I don't think this routing is in any way a good idea. Furthermore, I also think there are two potential other issues. There's the potential of grounding this battery with that new heatsink and grounding this UFL. So, my first piece of advice to anyone on this is, if you're installing this heatsink, if you've got any Kapton tape or insulation tape, place it over the top of this battery here, and I would place a piece over the top of this as well. Also, I would not be routing the antenna this way. That is asking for issues. This is going to be here. You can see his one actually was caught. You can see there that the cable was nipped, and that has caused some interference. How do you know there's an issue? What you see on the channels page of the Avatar HD goggles is all ambers instead of all greens in a good situation. But I still don't think that's the way that should be routed. I would be routing that cable out of this side here. This side, like it did before. I would not be routing it down there. Now, there are also two different size heat sinks available. You've got the small one like this, and then the large one that covers these ports down here as well. I would personally, if you've got the large one, again, some Captain tape over the top of these connections, insulation tape, just something to make sure that these can't ground out on this new heatsink. Now, it isn't 100% clear. Some people have been hinting that this could be causing the issue here with this coax going up against this IC. I don't personally believe that is. We had that on the original one. That was the same on the original one. It wasn't the same as this. What's really interesting, look at this, right? Look at the production date on this board. These boards have been made that long ago. So my advice is make sure that this cable isn't trapped, because that is happening. If we look at his was definitely nicked. But then you want to be isolating this. Now, the wider heatsink, as I said, comes all the way down to here. I don't actually have pictures of the wider one here. What I can say is this, okay? So if let me just open myself up a window. Let me get onto my NAS. There is no question the heatsink makes a difference. That I can promise you. All of my testing, let me just get to me NAS. Scratch drive, goggles X thermals. Let me just find the right ones. That's very zoomed out. So here's two images I want to show you, okay? That's annoying. So this is a top image of the version 1 goggle, okay? So this is the original goggle with the original thermal cover on the top. Now, if you look, what you have here is a very clear airflow path, but also hotspots. So the original board is here, as we know, okay? This cool area is the airflow being driven over the top of this channel here and out of here. Okay? But what you can see is you've got this very cool area here and then this hot area down here. There is no question that with the new heatsink things on improved. This is a thermal image of the new goggle with the new heatsink fitted. It is thermally far more even over the top. What's interesting is the temperatures on this heatsink here, this vent here, are higher. That is good. That is correct. If the temperatures are higher, it means more heat is being displaced via the heatsink. So it's doing a better job of moving that heat away from the PCB. But you can see that there is a substantial difference between the two. So that's the original one, and this is that airflow around there, and then that's that one there. From the front, let me find the other images. So let me just make sure we get it right. No. So from the front, that is the original one. You can see, again, that cool spot along there. And that is the new goggle. So again, a much more even thermal behavior. Not as much heat making it down to this front area here. Now, in all of my tests, and this will be coming in a video, the displays definitely run a little cooler, but the RF board runs a good 5 degrees cooler. My goggles were not particularly susceptible to overheating. I do think, though, what CaddX have done has helped with the overall thermal behavior. And looking at them thermally all over, they definitely were better. Now, I did a load of thermal testing, and I did this with the goggles on maximum RF output, with the displays on settings 10 as well, just to test it. And just to show you this here, video. Wait a minute. I need to turn this video around. Let me pause that a minute. I don't want to change the aspect ratio. Effects and filters. Video effects. I want to rotate. Where's rotate? Where's rotate? Geometry. Found it. Woo. No. Woo. So that shows you the... Actually, that must be the first video. That's when they were off. I'm looking... That's better. So, tools, effects, filters. Video effects. Geometry. Whee! Let's rotate him round. Ooh. That'll do. And that gives you an idea of how it looks there compared to the original goggle. Now, the way I did this was I did a test setup with both goggles, received the same voltage. Both goggles were turned on at exactly the same moment in time, and they were both left for nearly an hour of running to test how they behaved. And that was the result. So, overall, pretty good. Will feeding 5V into the TX-RX of an Avatar 1S kill it? Maybe, but it may be all right. You're going to have to test. There's no guarantees. Test the UART and see how it is. Did I miss the biscuits? No, I had a bar of chocolate. It said locked will reduce range. So catching down. I'm in a lot of Walksnail groups, and I see a lot of people can't handle the heatsink replacement. User errors everywhere. Yeah, and look, I wasn't sent one to make a video on how to do it, unfortunately. I have the new goggle, but I don't have the goggles on how to do it. There are certain things that I would have shown in the video. I might just make a video from the heatsink in this one anyway. But I think the heatsink definitely makes a difference. What is disappointing is the ongoing issues. And look, I think we all know. Is it normal for the O3E video to stutter freeze for 1 second when arming? Yes. So your O3E unit changes mode when it arms. It kicks it into full, it's not just full RF power, but it sort of kicks the main chipset into its proper mode. Absolutely normal. Perfectly normal. Could we get a heatway with a heatsink for each component? Absolutely. You could definitely put individual heatsinks, one on top of each of the IE2000s. And for those who saw, I have made a thermal video on the Goggles X showing what gets hot, and you could put a heatsink on the main SoC. And in fact, that could help things, but additional mass helps. Do you guys turn on HDOP on your GPS? HDOP is part of GPS. So do you turn on the visibility of it, do you mean, on the OSD? So do you do so you can see HDOP? It's really only worth having on if you know what it is. So horizontal degrees of precision. So is if you understand what it is, it's worth having on and trying to get the numbers down to where you need them to be. But if you don't understand what it is, it's not going to help, is it? I don't bother. I just use sat count. Look, the dangers with sat count, and for those who don't know, right, okay, so just to explain this, because this is an interesting subject. So HDOP is the precision of your GPS's position. How accurate is it? Sat count alone is not proof of accuracy. So, for instance, I actually have a video on this. I have a really old, really good video on this, and most of you guys won't even know about it on the channel. I gotta find it. And I actually made a video on this. My channel. I'm going to find this a minute, because I even have... This was when I made good videos. Let me just find it. It was made, actually, for... It was made, right, for camera drone users, so they understood how GPS worked. It is a fantastic video. It's called GPS rollover and how it affects your drone. This video, right? This video is a good video. Most people have never seen it. I say it's a good video if I say so myself. Right? I should republish this for FPV. Oh my God. This is going back. Look how thin I was back then. Look how young I looked. This is going to take place on the... That is... Oh, that was the GPS rollover date, actually. No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. That's an old video. That proves how long I've been making videos on this channel. 5 years ago. It's not that one. Let me find it. Let me find it. It must be this compass errors one. GPS issues, part 3. Yes, here it is. It's this one. This is part 3 in my series of 3 videos talking about DJI flight controllers. Let me just pause that. Right, let me just do something, because you guys need... Right, have I got desktop audio on this? Okay, so let's see if that now plays. Definitely not. I don't seem to have properties. 2 seconds. This one. Right. Sorry. Now, get in there. Part 1, we looked at the flight controller behavior specifically and talked about how that works and why it changes from GPS mode to ATTI. In part 2, we talked about the compass sensor and why that is one of the most important sensors on your air calculation, known as HDOP, or horizontal degrees of precision. This is how accurate the GPS data the aircraft receiving is. If we were to look closer, you would see that the reality is, in this little thing for the aircraft is taking its GPS data from these satellites listed in red. These satellites have a nice large amount of... The very basics are, if all of these satellites, right, were bunched up together, you may have... Right, here we go. So, if all of these satellites are bunched up together, you may have a high sat count, but what you won't have is a high degree of precision because the satellites' position are very close to each other, and as a result of the satellite position being close to each other, you don't have enough horizontal separation, and as a result of that, you don't actually have good accuracy. Whereas in a situation where, so if you look here, all of these satellites are out of view because the sky here is completely blocked on these sides and is only visible there. So like there, you're only picking up those satellites. So that will give you very poor HDOP, whereas that image there should give you good HDOP because there's plenty of separations between the satellites. The real basics here, I should republish that video. The real basics are to have great GPS lock and accurate position. The satellites it's receiving from need a good enough spread to ensure that the data they're getting is good. Whereas if the sats are too close, they're not. I think it's less important today. I tell you where it really kicks in is if you're... The reason I made this video is a lot of people would be flying around in cities and wondering why they lose GPS. And the problem they fail to understand is with the tall high-rise buildings, they start to lose the signal. And that's the cause. So, anyway, that was HDOP. Now, we're heading for the Q&A time. Before we do that, right, I'm going to quickly show you something while I'm waiting for the Q&A. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat now. The last thing I just want to quickly show you, and there will be a review on this at some point coming, when I have one that I can plug in, because at the moment I don't. For those who are into 3D printers, Creality have a new filament dryer, has a screen on the front, goes up to 85 degrees, has an open and closable lid. It is a fan-driven dryer, so it does have an actual element in it with a fan that circulates. It has this lid which closes like this. It has the filament exit there. Doesn't have an output at the back, but you could always drill a hole in the perspex. Have seen someone complaining about that already. And yeah, I'll be reviewing it soon. But if you're after a filament dryer, it's definitely worth a look. I quite like it. A lot of the cheaper filament dryers don't go up to 70, 80 degrees. They only go up to like 55 or 60. And as a result of that, they're not good for some of the carbon fiber filaments, whereas that will go up to 85, which means you can dry pretty much anything. Nice if you want to dry Ron roll. Yeah, I use the Sunlu fly dryer. I have a couple of the cheaper dryers, but they only go to 50, 55 degrees, and that's the problem. Never dried any of your filaments. Look, I'm not a big fan of drying. Look, all of my printers are here with the filaments in view out and about. There's filament all over the place, right? I don't, but there are some stuff. No, it is plastic. But there is some stuff that drying makes a very big difference to, especially the carbon fiber filaments. How much? I think it's like TPU definitely wants to be dried. TPU definitely wants to be dried. Trihexagles. Let me just cut out. Question. Do you have any recommendations of Walksnail longer range antennas? Looking for use on my 7-inch long range build. I always use True RC antennas. I like the True RCs. True RCs are very good antennas. Squilky. Just scrolling down. Yeah, True RCs. Long range True RCs XA2s. They're some of the best antennas you'll get. How can I move the satellite's floor? Yeah. I've looked at the True DIY kit. The True RC is my favourite for long range. What's the best starter 3D printer for around $300? £300. I'll be honest, the A1 Mini. If you don't need the bed size, go for the Bamboo A1 Mini. Dean Sharp. So what's the best starter 3D printer for beginning around £300? A1 Mini. Get the Bamboo Lab A1 Mini. For the price that printer is, you can see it there behind me. It is a phenomenal printer for the price. It's just, it punches so far above its weight. I would say get the A1, but you can't because they have a habit of burning cables out. But the A1 Mini is phenomenal for the money. For the money, the A1 is phenomenal. Lumineer make good antennas. Yeah, someone's mentioned Lumineers. Vass has some good ones. Yeah, Vass is still a big player. Big player. I've been playing with the Tiny Hawk 3 Freestyle HD for a few weeks now, and I want to build my own drone. Should I go straight to 4 or 4.5 inch? I quite like how my quad flies, so I'm not disturbing my neighbours. Try a 4 inch. 4 inch is so much nicer than 5. 5 is too big. I still think 5 inch is too big. Not a thing my wife has ever said, but I still think 5 inches is too big. Um, 4 inch is a real nice sweet spot. But all but A1 Mini does shake itself off the table. It does. That's the speed, though. They all shake a bit. 7 inch for the win. Can the O3E unit power up without an FC like the Vista can? It can, but it doesn't give you full power. There is no way to get full power out of the O3 without a flight controller or an Arduino telling it to arm. You can do an Arduino mod. Four inch is a nice sweet spot. The only problem with the 4 inches is they tend to be a bit underpowered. But Rossa's 3.5 or 4 inch is well worth a look. I believe Chris Rossa has a very nice 3.5 inch quad. Or I believe Chris Ross's 3.5 inch is very rock solid. So what I'm saying is Chris Rossa has a rock solid 3.5 inch. I haven't seen it, but a lot of people like it. Grindino, I've not tried bots frames. I'm not. They'll be good, but I just can't. I've not seen any of them. 3.5 inches small enough to fly. There's a lot going on in this 3.5 inch area. There definitely is. Ian, if you turn off low power mode, can you not get full power? No. O3 never goes to full power, even in low power mode off. All low power mode off does on O3 is basically allow you to record properly, but you still don't get full RF power. You only get full RF power when you have an arming command. It's been the same from day one. I've complained to DJI about it. In fact, the response I got from DJI was, no, you're wrong. It does go to full power when you turn off low power mode. And my reply back was, no, it doesn't. Here is the spectrum analysis data that proves it doesn't. Go away and fix your software. DJI still think it goes to full RF power when low power mode is turned off. DJI still think that. But you can use an Arduino to tell it to go to hyper. There's a free sketch for an Arduino that allows you to, you can get an Arduino Micro and force it into low power mode, out of low power mode. It's super easy. There's loads of them out there. There's a simple OSD for DJI FPV. There's an Arduino code somewhere. Automatically armed DJI 3 unit with Arduino. There's this one here. So you can use this micro Arduino and use that to arm. So on power up, it will just arm. Really simple. Oh, sorry, wrong camera. Sorry, wrong camera. So there's this one here. O3A unit, RC arm. Arduino O3 camera arm version 2 allows you to an Arduino XIAO to force it into. So, yeah, nice and simple. You can just get that one. You can wire it like that. And it's ready to go. Why is DJI's Goggle 2 connection... Why DJI Goggle's V2 connection so bad even on FCC mode? It's generally not. If yours is, you may have something going on. Super Deluxe, try Fly High FPV and Pirate Drone and Umagod. Yeah, this actually leads me on. I'm a bit uneasy about this. This doesn't affect me, I should say. But I am a bit uneasy about this getting together of Get FPV. Is it is it Get FPV and Pirate Drone? Is it those two who are getting together? Race Day Quads. Sorry, Race Day Quads and Get FPV. Yeah, I am a little bit uneasy of that and the way they said they're going to keep them as separate businesses, which I think is I don't think that gives good transparency to users. I think it's asking for price fixing. I think it's asking for users to get a worse deal. Same parent company. Look. Retailers selling the same products with the same parent company should have the same name. I just think they are two big players that have enough influence to be able to rig the pricing of the market. I'm not saying they would, but they are big enough that if they decide to up their prices together because they're the same business, then that will have an influence on FPV. That's the guys I know and hugged. It's pretty flat, but they are two big retailers with a bit of sway, and that sway can be abused. And I'm not saying it would. However, it is asking for issues, in my opinion. Look, it would be the same for me, for the UK guys, as Unmanned Tech and Hobby RC joining forces and saying we're going to retain, though, the separate brands. I think that would be unacceptable. Maybe they could lowball and try to tough it out until everyone runs out of business. Yeah, look, it's enough influence that it would worry me. Someone asked me if I've flown recently. I would love to have flown today if I wasn't ripping my bathroom out. But unfortunately, I was ripping my bathroom out. I haven't. Look, I've had very little flight time. I am behind on 2 reviews, 3 reviews, 4 reviews, 5 reviews. But look, for a little bit, I have to concentrate on my life. My house needs attention. My family need attention. And look, the amount of content I'm going to be producing for the short near-term future is going to be down on where I would usually be. I might not even put a video out this week. That's the truth. I don't have anything in the can. I have a video that I'm working on, which I think is a really cool one. It's about ESCs and the history of ESCs and BL Heli. And I'm learning a lot, and I'm learning a lot more. But I keep having to make changes to it and edit it. Look, everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. But I am in a quieter spell until things hot up. The weather's preventing me doing anything. I need to spend some time with my family. I need to fit a freaking bathroom. And as a result of that, look, you're going to get less from me. Am I running my house on 4S or 6S? Yeah. Weather's starting to pick up next few weeks. That would be really good. Because what I have noticed a real trend of in the UK is the days I'm available to fly, it's pissing down. And then the days when I'm not available, it's bright sunshine. Brilliant. It was a nice day today, yes, and I was ripping my bathroom, mate. Well, I was fitting a toilet all day. I started at 8 o'clock this morning, and I finished an hour before I come on stream. Weird. Literally, the days I can't fly, it's beautiful, calm, nothing. The day I can't fly, it's windy and pissing with rain. Just mad. Just madness. So, that's it from me on this stream. I'm going to keep the controversy out of this one. Oh, hello, Dave. How are you? Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. $5. So, before we wrap this one up, there are things I'm testing in the background with regards to an unnamed open source system. But until I'm comfortable talking about it, I'm no longer going to be talking about it. I did put a statement up this week. Now, I'm going to end on this. For those who saw, I did put a statement up on the channel, and my stance is until some things change, I'm not going to be talking about it. There will be a video coming, but I'm going to be trying to leave the drama around this project out of the way a minute because I've got too much to do. And it's taking up too much time. And frankly, until things are doing... Look, as I said in my statement, that project is... It's not a product. It's a combination of software. And it's not even a great one at the moment. So we've got to see what happens. Right. I'm going to wind this one up there. Oh, thank you, Super Deluxe. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. $4.99. A big thank you to everyone who's watched the stream tonight. There may be a video this week if I can get out and finish. I have one. I just need to go fly. There isn't anything in the can, so you may get nothing from me this week. We're going to have to wait and see. Although we should be back same time, same place next week. And I'll probably be in even more pain because I'll be still doing the bathroom next Saturday. I got about a month of work on the bathroom on and off, so that's what I got to get done first. But anyway, as there's any news, we will talk about it. Stay safe, look after yourself, and I will speak to you soon. Later.